Hey y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be doing an RPG horror story, Star Wars horror. This is not the prequels though. This is during the original trilogy era, which is shocking. Usually the horror stories are from the prequels, at least from the big screen perspective. But uh, this is going to sound like reruns. I met a gentleman on Meetup.com. He brought me into the game. I was happy to meet local gamers, and and then the lack of prep ruined the game. So this is going to sound like a rerun. I think I've recorded like 3 or 4 horror stories, um, and they all start to sound very similar after a while. So I met a gentleman through Meetup.com. Very happy to join his game, meet other local players. Um, and I asked him, what do you want me to play? What's the campaign about? Star Wars is a fairly broad setting. It's not the most broad, but it's fairly broad. And what do you want me to play? What's the team, the goal, the story? And he said, "Oh, whatever you want." And this is why I cringe every time I hear that. Oh, play whatever you want. It'll work. We'll all fit together. We'll all mesh as a party, playing whatever we want. And I'm like, no, please don't tell me this. Please give me something to work with. Are we fighter pilots? Are we smugglers? Are we stormtroopers? Are we rebels? Are we aliens? Are we slavers? Are we slaves? Are we Hutts? We each control a different Hutt clan. If I show up with a Hutt and I'm expecting to run this criminal empire, and somebody else shows up with a stormtrooper, how is that going to form a party at any point? Could it be done? Yes. Will it be easy? No. And you want it to be easy. Why make things hard on yourself? But he refused. He gave me no input. So he said, play whatever you want, whatever's the most fun, most interesting thing in Star Wars that you could play. Play that. And so I did. I made myself a Trandoshan cleric of Jaquatha. And Jaquatha is a god of the Trandoshans, or goddess, rather. She's also known as the Scorekeeper, which is a very complex set of morals that every action we do is either holy or unholy, and either raises your score or lowers it. And it's a little wonky and ridiculous, but in a fun way. So I was keeping it a little bit lighthearted, like certain actions like double your score and some half your score, and some zero your score out. Canonically, some actions really do zero your score out. But I made this cleric, and I sent him the really detailed sheet to help the GM as much as I could. Here's my father, here's my mentor, here's the hometown, here's the university I went to, here's my father's business rivals, my sister, my mother. I sent him, all of this info, and I'm like, and here's how the Empire gets along with Dosha and the Trandoshans, and here's what I want to do with the character. I'm a cleric. I'm trying to attract religious followers and start a cult and a church, and eventually found a religious colony. So I need to get all this bureaucracy in place. I need to get a ship. I need to build a colony. I need to move people to the colony and advertise for it, and it needs to all be legal and paid for. And so this whole story arc, you can run a whole campaign based just on this character, so I really went out of my way to help the GM as much as I could make this a really good game about a cleric and his quest to found a religious colony, because that's what I wanted to do. And he said, do whatever you want to do, which so I tried to make it as easy as possible for him. And I show up at the game, and you know, the other characters are coming in, and you know, it was like, oh my God, it was like, good Lord, Tony. It was like the rejects from the cantina scene of Star Wars. It was some of them were okay, and some of them were desperately wrong. Um, Dr. Paul, who I love to death, was playing a stormtrooper with PTSD and alcoholism. So he's playing a stormtrooper. This other guy, Derek, was playing an R2 unit. He was playing an inanimate object. Well, I guess they're animate, but they're not sapient. You know, they're not human. They're a collection of computer programs. So, you know, to say he had no personality goes without saying. But not only that, but he had concealed gun ports on his R2 unit, which is highly illegal. And he said that he had AI, that he was not a robot, that he was a true AI, which does not exist in Star Wars. So, you know, he didn't fit in with the setting. At least Paul fit in with the setting. His character was wonky and ridiculous, and did fit in, you know, not only with my character, but not with anybody else's character, but at least he's canonical to the setting. Because the R2 unit didn't, you know, nothing was there. And then we had a Wookiee, and, you know, Trandoshans and Wookiees are like mortal enemies. You know, they hate each other. They hate each other so much, it's not even funny. They try to genocide each other, you know, all the time. So I'm a Trandoshan, he's a Wookiee. So, you know, why was this allowed by the GM? And then we had, I think we had two good characters. Well, like two. One was a smuggler. So you got to think now we got a stormtrooper and a smuggler. How can they possibly form a team? And then, you know, I'm a Trandoshan cleric. So I'm not part of the Empire, but I'm very pro-Empire. You know, the rebels, you know, they're threatening my father's business. And so I'm very pro-Empire. And then the smuggler, he's breaking the law. You know, and he probably had rebel leanings. So the complete cast of misfits are thrown together. And just trying to roleplay and make sense of this and why they wouldn't kill each other was tedious and painful. You know, I mean, especially like, you know, my character is wearing robes and he has a staff. He is a priest. He has no weapons, no armor, no combat experience. You know, he is not a fighter. He's not designed to be near combat. And then we got a stormtrooper. He's wearing heavy armor. He's got a huge gun. He's got grenades strapped all over his body. And we got apparently a battle droid, which doesn't fit in with the setting. And you know, everybody else had guns, as if there was going to be fighting. But you know, everything I sent the GM was about politics, and there were no fighting. And I sent him my sheet a week in advance with all of this background stuff. It was probably more than a week. It's probably 2 weeks. But well in advance. He knew exactly what I wanted, exactly who I was. And, you know, and it was just clearly we were not on the same page. So we started off, we were all on the same starship, which is a good way to bring disparate people together. That's fine. And we landed on the planet. I started going, we all went our separate ways. We split immediately. So of course we're not a party, you know. And then the planet was blockaded by the Empire. And the captain kind of pulled us back together to try to get the ship off planet through the blockade. And to me, it was really a lot of metagaming. But I went with it. I was like, let's try to make it work. let's try to form a team. And it didn't work, and we weren't a team. We ended up getting in a fight with some stormtroopers, and so the stormtrooper in our group quit the stormtroopers. So all of that part of his backstory is, he's now a very different character than Dr. Paul probably intended him to be. And my character's aghast because I love the Empire. And I abhor violence. I mean, I was terrified of the violence, and to think that I was fighting people that are supposed to me are legitimate and goodly authorities. They're dressed in this gleaming white armor. They protect my people from the evil Wookiees. These guys are like the stuff to me. And then these goons I'm with are shooting them. And we have an illegal battle droid with us and a Wookiee. And a smuggler. I don't like smugglers either. I don't like any of these people. Except the stormtrooper. I liked him because he's a stormtrooper. Then he's all renegade. I'm like, oh, this is the exact kind of stormtrooper that that the exception to the rule of them being good. So, we were trying. We got in combat. It was very, it was like a very linear storyline, but it still didn't make sense. If it made sense, I could remember. It was like there was a Jedi on the planet, and they were going to blow up the planet unless he was handed forward. So we tried to get our ship and escape, and then we couldn't. So then we were going to try to find the Jedi. But it really didn't make sense to me. That they would threaten to destroy the whole colony because there was a rogue Jedi there. It really didn't make much sense to me at all. But that's the story we're in, and I couldn't escape from it. So I kept trying to get back on track with my pilgrim story and my religious colony, and I was trying to say, you can't blow me up because my father is this important businessman. He'll be pissed if you find out that I was just killed out of hand. I mean, I'm trusted. I'm in the upper echelon. I'm not scum. I'm a rich, wealthy, religious figure. I have political clout. You can't blow me up. You will then be blown up in turn. I guarantee it. But they wouldn't listen. They're like, oh no, but it's a module, so it's a railroad, so we're gonna ignore you. And a lot of these things. I'll go back to the actual story. So the story continues in that it didn't continue. I left the group. There were scheduling issues. I could see there was no upside. I looked around the table and I said, "You're a good player. You're a good player," and then everyone else is either average or below. And I don't even want a game with average people. So I'm like, you won't leave this group because X, Y, and Z. You won't leave this group because X, Y, and Z. So I can't take the good and leave with it. So if I'm going to continue, I've got to really hit these two good players and really try to shine them up without these guys distracting and dragging us all down. And one of them was really going to drag us down, that R2 unit with the blasters. And I mean, he interfaced with computers, and like R2 does in the movies. And every time he did it, he's like, "Yeah, I pull out my robot dick and I fuck the computer." And I was like, "Fuck you, man. You're the most immature piece of shit." You can see that I take this seriously. You can see that the two other good players, take this seriously. And that guy over there, that guy maybe, he's uncomfortable with the language you're using. And you're getting wasted. He's sitting there pounding beers back while we're playing, too. So he's getting wasted. And he's vulgar. And he's a terrible role player. And he doesn't fit in with his set. And I'm like, all the good from these two good guys you easily overbalance it to the point where I'm going to quit. And I brought it up too. I said, because you know me, I'm confrontational as shit. So I said, this guy sucks, and I'm going to leave unless he leaves. Do you want me at your table or do you want him at the table? You decide. I don't care. I'm not going to have harsh feelings either way. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm saying he's a bad player. And I'm here to play. I'm not here to meet people. I'm here to meet players. And this guy has no game. He's not a player. So that's why I said it. Him or me. And they said, well, and they were all uncomfortable. Like, they didn't want to admit how bad he was. But every single one of these motherfuckers complained about him behind his back and said how they wanted to kick him out and they wanted to talk to him. And they tried to talk to him and he wouldn't listen. And I said to every one of them, well, kick him out. And then when I finally got to experience him for myself, I said, yes, kick him out. And I said it publicly in front of everyone. Or I'm leaving. I won't hold bad feelings either way. I'm not judging him as a person. I'm judging him as a player. So that's it. And they were all uncomfortable. They didn't want to answer it. I said, okay, well, bye then. Call me when he's gone, and you'll have me. I help the GM. I try role play. I stay in character. I built a really interesting character. I have my biology of being cold-blooded, and I was describing how I couldn't see but I could smell with my tongue, and it was really, really strong skill set I brought to the table. And I demonstrated it at that game. It was, I'm very proud of all the role playing I did in that those 2 or 3 sessions or whatever it was. And I gave them 2 or 3 sessions. I'm like, I'll try it. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he sucks on the 4th session, I quit. Or he quits. Whatever. It's the same difference to me. I'm not playing with him. So that's what happened. But it's funny when you come back to it that a lot of the things that I say to do in the wrong context, you should not do them. Like often you'll hear me say that you should allow the players to make whatever they want. Don't impose standard party roles. Don't be like, we have to have a fighter and a cleric and a thief and a wizard or whatever. Don't impose that. But do impose story. You have to have a team goal. And as long as you can fit within that team, you can be whatever you want. Right? So I want to address that because I know the comments are coming. They're like, you said that people should play what they want and then you complain. But no, you still have to have guidance. So, put forth the story. This is the story. This is the team. This is the universe. You can do anything you want as long as you fit those 3 things. You fit into the Star Wars universe, you fit into the story I want to tell, and you fit in with the other party members. And the GM is going to be there to help it guide you to do that. So, but within that framework, you can be whatever you want. So I want to address that right off the bat. Also, you'll hear me say that railroading is good from time to time. And it is from time to time in the right context. If he railroaded me through the Pilgrim story, that's fine, because I wanted to be on that railroad. So that would have been fine. Or if he said, we're running a module, it's going to be a railroad. If he said that, I would either quit or I'd be fine with it. Either one is fine, acceptable. But he made me think that my story was important, and then it wasn't. And he made me think I was going to have choice, and then I didn't. So it's a communication again, up front. Up front, you got to say, is this a sandbox? Is this a railroad? Does your character matter? Or is your character a stat block, and he's interchangeable with any other character? And these basic communication things were not done. And I tried. I told you, I'm like, should we be Hutts? Should we be fighter pilots? What should I be? So I fit with all these things. I can fit into the Star Wars universe no problem. But that doesn't mean I'm going to fit your story. It doesn't mean I'm going to fit the party. So, give me some guidance so that I do, and then everyone will be happier. And he didn't, and we weren't happy. I wasn't happy. I don't think anybody was happy that session. And I'd be shocked if they made it to the end of that module. But that's going to be my Star Wars horror story. I'm sorry if it feels like a rerun, because, I've told the same horror story 3 times. The GM didn't prep us properly, and then it fell apart. But unfortunately, I had to experience it 3 times in real life. More than 3 times, I'm sure. The GM didn't prep us. I knew he wasn't prepping us properly. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. It fell apart anyways. And, either I took the good players and brought them to my game, which is excellent, or in this case, there was no way to take the players. So it was just a waste of my time. And that's why it's a horror story. I feel exhausted. I feel drained just thinking back on it. But let me know if you've seen this happen to you. I'm not saying Star Wars is bad. I'm just saying that it was executed terribly in this instance. So I'm going to sign out now. I hope everybody has a good day.